Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Resident Rulebreakers. My name is Kayla.
And I'm Camille.
And on today's episode, we are having a very special guest, Jessica Miesel. And in her interview, we're going to be talking to her about Feldmore, and how it was to film the scenes from Woman Down, episode 307. And, you know, what went into that, what it's like to be a role model for full-figured women. And just all around laughs, and, you know, she was amazing. Obviously, her cats are going to be involved.
Georgia Piper. We do talk about weight issues, like eating disorders, that kind of thing. So, yeah, it's warning, trigger warning if anybody, is triggered by that conversation. Yes, if you're triggered by, like, the discussion of weight issues, bulimia, and, eating disorders, anything like that, please don't listen. But yeah, it's a very fun podcast. We had the privilege of it, and Jess was so nice in doing that. Very open about everything.
We're going to bring Jessica in, and let's start the interview.
Hey, Jessica.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. And yourself?
I'm well, thank you.
How's Georgia?
It's good. I'm inside a lot these days. It's hot, but it's great. No complaints. Yeah.
So, tell us about yourself. How long have you been acting? TV shows or something?
I've been acting for a long time. I was really more of a singer my whole life, and then I kind of fell into this theater, and then I kind of fell into film and TV. But I would say I've been doing it for almost 20 years now.
Oh, so, wow!
Yeah, for a long time. I was a wee one when I started. So.
Mm-hmm. What musicals have you done? I've seen pictures and videos of you doing musicals. You were in, I believe, Oklahoma or some kind of carousel.
I've done a lot. But yes, I did Oklahoma. I've done a lot of the classics, Oklahoma, Carousel, The Full Monty. God, there's so many that I can't even think. And then, I did, some Shakespeare, and I've done a show called The Fantastics, and I've done Cabaret, and I did a chorus line. Yeah, so over the years, there's been quite a few, so I miss it. Oh, Company is another one. But yeah, so I'm more of a theater rat, for sure.
You have been a part of the show since the very beginning. You were in the very first scene in the pilot. Yeah. And 3 years later, you're still in the show.
I know.
How do you feel about that? That Jessica's still around?
I'm still here. Yeah. Well, what's funny, I was only supposed to do that one scene. There was no discussion of me doing more than that one episode. I got hired to I was just scrub nurse, 3 lines, and
yeah, you're the one who suggested blaming it on a heart, right?
Wait, what?
Weren't you saying the one who said, "Oh, but he has heart problems or something"?
Yeah. So and I'm the one that's like, maybe he had a heart attack. And I really didn't think I was going to do anything more than just that one episode, and then we got picked up. And then they kind of just kept bringing me back, and they gave me a name, and they kind of started to give me a bit of a storyline. So it's just one of those things that you hope as an actor happens, And so, yeah, I'm so grateful that they liked me enough to be like, she's weird, we'll keep her. So he liked her.
Yeah. I remember the YouTube videos that you did for season 1. I think it was Resident Rulebreakers.
Oh, I know.
I love that. It was so hilarious.
I know. They were so cute. So I don't know. because that was also kind of a mistake, I think. Like, they kind of had me they called EPKs, electronic press kits, and I'd never done one before, and so they wanted to see how I would do, but I ended up kind of like, talking kind of in character, and they thought it was so they ended up keeping it and using it. So everything's kind of happened like accidentally, which is funny. But I don't know why they haven't had me do it again. I think they forgot. I should tell them.
I love them because it was like it was our thoughts, most of the audience's thinking, right? But like. So you would say it.
Yeah. They were fun. They were like, what is she doing? What is happening? We'll keep it. So.
Yeah. That is so funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about Feldman. I love you too. I do. I love you guys.
He's so sweet.
When did you know that you and Tasso will be playing love interests, and how was it pitched to you guys?
It wasn't pitched to me. I don't know anything ahead of time. They're just like, here's a script, and I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And but no, I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking back to when we did the episode in the first season where I was singing and he was like auditioning me, you know? And I mean, again, this is all my assumption, but, and he and I just had a lot of fun that day, and we had never worked together before. And we were improvising a lot, and like, when I'm like, you're a little flat, like that was not written, like that was just something I just said, and it kept it. So I think that, they saw that we, you know, got along really well, and I think it kind of sparked an idea for them. And then pretty soon, I think it was the beginning of the second season, right, with the elevator.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I guess this is the thing now. I guess that this is what we're doing. So it was just kind of something that they wrote in. I was thrilled because I mean, like, I'm so grateful to work opposite somebody like him who's, I mean, he couldn't be funnier or sweeter, or I mean, it's just a really good little duo. So
you guys are so cute together. It's
we're
adorable.
We have a lot of fun. It's funny. We have a lot of fun for sure. You just like, I feel very comfortable with him, which is good. I think it's, as an actor, it's what you want.
That's amazing. I mean, I've loved both of y'all since I've first, because I started the show as it started airing. I watched it from the pilot.
But I love you singing. I like, you haven't done that again in the show. Like, I think the last time you guys were singing was a karaoke bar.
Yeah, and it's funny. Well, you know, because also like my voice type doesn't lend itself, I think, to like karaoke. Unfortunately, you know, I do more like, I'm like such a nerd, like musical theater or jazz or classical, and like you're just not, you know, I'm not gonna get up and sing an aria like in the middle of like a bar, you know what I mean? So, like,
why not?
I know, right?
Obviously, the proposal from 316 is a fan favorite scene. And so, talk about the wedding. How do you envision the Feldman wedding?
Oh gosh, who knows? I feel like it could go a myriad of ways. The possibilities are endless. I mean, one thing I do appreciate about Nurse Jessica, I don't think her wedding plans are going to be involved or surround kind of what she thinks other people want. I think she's somebody who she's going to do it because she thinks it's best for her and Irving. And so, who knows? I think that sometimes she can probably be totally off the wall and odd. So, but it sounds like I like turquoise napkins. So that was a line from another episode. But also, I kind of like the idea of something really simple. You know, just like like boho chic and like flowy and just, but I'm sure it'll be something silly. And
I pitched the idea of you guys eloping to Vegas and getting an Elvis impersonator to do your wedding.
yes.
Or even better, like having like Dollywood, Todd Sherry come back to fish. I just imagine like some kind of silly, fun, not really serious wedding, because it would fit your two characters.
I know, that's what I'm thinking. Although one thing, who was I talking? I think I was talking to Shawnette, somebody that I do, and I don't think this is going to happen, but I was like, I really want there to be an episode where we take a bachelorette weekend to Vegas. You miss in Vegas.
Yes!
And like all the ladies go to Vegas.
Oh my God, yes!
Kind
yes!
of like the Hangover, but the resident style.
Oh my God, yes!
And so I was like, who do we talk to about this? Like, we get to go to Vegas for like a week and shoot the episode. So I don't think, I was just talking to like Shawnette and Tasso or whatever, but but I was like, oh, that would be so.
What's your favorite Feldman moment?
My favorite Feldman moment. There's so many. I love, it's such a random moment. I love in the flashback scene when we're playing pool. In like, is it the second season?
It was, yeah.
And he's like, it was the first time in the flashback that Nick and Conrad have met, and then I'm with Emily, or with Nick, and I go up to him and I'm like, you're not slick, and he's like, I don't like you. Like I love that moment. It's so charming, and to me it's just so like, I'm like, yes, that's perfect. But of course, like, I love the Valentine's Day episode of from 214.
Yeah.
I like that one, I think, as an actor, because it had an arc and it had range, and I was able to be, both of us were able to show a different side of ourselves, being vulnerable. And, so that felt really good to do.
That was, this. I talked to you extensively about this. I said, that's my favorite episode. I literally, my favorite moment. I literally, even talking about it now, I cry.
Yeah.
Because it's, oh, I'm going to cry now. When you said, are you ashamed of me? It literally was like a knife to my heart, because I've been there so many times. And have you ever been there? Like, what was your feelings at that moment? That kind of thing.
Yeah, that was definitely something that was very easy for me to fall into, as far as in that moment as an actor, because it's I feel like I'm a very confident person in every other aspect of my life, but except for when it comes to with men. And so I know that feeling of just you want to keep me a secret. That's a horrible feeling to be, and that's kind of what he was doing, right? It was everything was, we would hook up in the wherever, and he wouldn't tell anybody. That's a horrible feeling to me. To me, feel like that you are not worthy of being walking down the hall with,
Yeah. I would assume, and maybe I'm reading it wrong, that Nurse Jessica's source of shame or vulnerability or whatever is her weight. Mm-hmm. Mine was my disability. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it's I'd be like, why don't you hold my hand? Are you scared of people staring at you or whatever? You know what I mean?
It's interesting. A lot of people, there was and it makes sense that a lot of people assume that the shame around it was her weight. But I never thought of it that way. I guess
What did you think was her source of shame then?
Well, I think that because I think she's a little weird, and in a good way, but she's walking around with handcuffs and you know what I mean? And that's how I saw it, that she's not exactly the brightest crayon in the box. And she's a little odd, and that's where I thought that maybe that was, but of course though, that's because my weight has never been discussed on set or within the writers. They've never used it as, I mean, I'm sure that it has when I'm not around, but in terms of like, when I'm there, my weight is never a discussion. But I do think that full-figured women, such as myself, do feel a lot of shame about our bodies. So I see it from both ways. But it's funny, at the time we were filming it, I didn't think about it from a weight perspective. But I never do, because I try not to even allow that to slip into my head. But that's probably just me. I don't know if I'm making sense, but...
And you know, because, like, we were talking about this, you know, when we were discussing the questions and stuff, and you just brought it up. How do you like being a role model for women?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think we need more of people like me. And I can say, like, as somebody growing up at a time in the 90s when, like, the whole, like, heroin chic thing was popular, right? That was what I saw all over TV and all in magazines. And so I developed a very unhealthy relationship with my body and with food. It's something that I struggled with for a very, very, very long time. And I often wonder if I had seen people that look like me, or, you know, any other woman you can think of that's not a size 2, if that would have looked different for me. I don't know. And sometimes it's hard because people can be really cruel, on social media. But for the most part, I would say like 90% of it, I get so many messages from women that say, like, I feel better about myself today because I saw you on TV. And, like, that makes it worth it, all of it.
Yeah.
Know?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's still hard. I mean, do you still get sometimes, like, moments of low self-confidence? Because for me, I mean, like, I don't like taking pictures of my full body. And then I don't even like taking pictures of my face at a certain angle kind of thing. Yeah. Because I hate it when people would mention it to me, like, oh, you've gained weight or whatever. So I'm sitting there going, like, thank you for mentioning that. Like, really, that's the last thing that I need to be mentioned. And, yeah, you seem like a confident woman, but do you get moments of like, God, really?
All the time. I'm better than I was years ago. I don't allow it to prevent me from doing something. Like, before, my weight would, if my friends are going to the beach, I wouldn't go. And this is back at a time when I was very thin, but I still had it in my mind that I wasn't. So, but no, of course. I mean, I think that, I'm not going to lie, when I'm on set, I'm try to stay very conscious of the way that I stand and the way that I hold my chin, so that depending on the angle, you know, it looks a certain way. But I also realize that we're all so much more than the number on the scale. And I just don't understand this obsession that our society has with weight. It's like such a huge defining factor in how we see people. And I just don't I'm like, who decided that this was going to be the thing that we were going to obsess over with women?
Yeah, I'll be all.
Yeah, and, like, you know, if you see, like, who is it, Ben Affleck? I saw a picture of him and I was like, dang, he's put on a lot of weight, but no one's talking about it. Like, it's not on the cover of the magazine. And not that it shouldn't be for men either. But then you see Jennifer Aniston, who, like, has a cheeseburger and then, like, goes outside and they're like, she's pregnant. Like, it's just, you know, I'll never understand this very strange obsession with weight. It's such a small part of what makes us who we are, but yet it defines so much of how we live our life. And I don't know. I want more than anything for that to stop. Yeah. So, but I think in terms of building confidence, I think the question is where are you getting your confidence from? Is it like, are you thinking about what others are thinking? You know what I mean? Is it strictly for the approval of others? I just think that's a good question to ponder for yourself. To think, what defines your confidence? Is it you, or is it other people? People like my weight, your weight, anybody's weight, it's no one's business. You're the one that has to live in that body, nobody else. So no one else should dictate how you feel about yourself, ultimately. Yeah. So that's my soapbox. George is here.
Hi, George.
He says
Hey.
Come here.
He's a cutie.
Oh, a boy.
How do you tell your kid? How do you tell them apart? I cannot. I've seen videos of your kids since pretty much
Since I got them.
Yes, because I was following you when you had your previous kid, and I cried with you when you lost your kid.
Oh, that was really hard, yeah. Well, no, I can definitely, if you see them in person, you can definitely tell them apart, because Piper is about half the size of George. Like, George is, and Piper is really, really little. She's like 5 pounds. And then George is like 12. So,
so George is twice as much.
He literally is. Here's Piper right now. Hi, Piper. Come here.
Are they brother and sister?
They are. They're from the same litter. They were, I adopted them from a place up north or North Georgia, kind of. And yeah, they were just found on the street. A litter of kittens. And there were 4 of them, and I was like, I don't know if I can do 4. That's a lot. But I knew that I wanted to have 2 because I thought, like, it's nice for them to have each other, you know. And George was really, 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 really timid. Like, he was and Piper was just, so I thought they would make a good little pair.
Yeah.
Woman Down. That was one of our favorite episodes from season 3.
Yeah.
What was the process of filming the car accident and the whole episode where, you know, the surgery and, you know, how was all that?
Yeah. Well, you know, the actual episode where I get into the car accident, that was pretty straightforward. The actual car accident was actually done in front of a green screen. So when you see me driving and crashing, I'm just literally in a studio with a big green screen behind me, and I'm just driving. So that was easy. I never had to actually drive on the road or anything like that. I mean, I will say it was awkward though, because, you know, you're just sitting in a car that can't move, and you can't even move the steering wheel, and you're just surrounded by crew members, and they're like, okay, so when we count to 3, you're going to scream. And I'm like, what? And so it just was like, like it just felt very, very awkward to pretend to be crashing and you're not. Even though that's like my job as an actor. It was just like, it was a new thing for me. So I wasn't sad when that scene was done. But it looked so good. When I went back to look, when I finally watched it, I was like, oh my gosh, it really looks like I'm driving. Like, you would think I was like on the road. But then the next episode with the surgery, that was hard. Also, though, side note, I was also really, really grateful because I think that it brought attention to the character, and I think that it made people really care about her, which I think is so, you know, as an actor, you want that. You want people to like you, so you stick out. And yeah, filming the actual episode where I was unconscious the whole time. At first I was like, oh, cool, I get to take a nap and get paid for it. But it actually ended up being like the hardest thing I had to do.
That's not the first time I've heard actors say sleep acting is the worst. I hate it.
Yeah, well, it was that, but it was also, like, for example, like coming into the ER when I'm coming off of the ambulance in the very beginning of the scene. You know, I'm completely strapped down and I'm intubated, and then, you know, with Matt doing compressions. And, you know, obviously we do the scenes over and over and over again because we have to get it right, and then we have to do different angles, so it takes hours. And it was very claustrophobic. Like, I had this thing around my neck, right? And if I have to get up and go pee or something, it's not a simple process. I can't just hop up and go pee. Like, they have to unhook me from everything. And I go pee, and then I'm walking around with all this blood on my face and blood in my hair, and then my clothes, you know, and then I have, like, sometimes they obviously film scenes out of order, so I go from like one bloody mess, and then I go to where I'm in the hospital bed, and I have, so it was just a lot of, certainly no complaints, but I didn't realize how much would go into simply being a patient.
Unconscious, yeah.
And then I did feel bad when we were doing the one scene where I'm actually in brain surgery, where my skull was removed and stuff. I was surprised at how anxiety provoking that was, because there's a reason, I guess, patients are unconscious for surgery, because when I was laying on the table and they had to tilt, I was laying flat and they had to tilt my head all the way to one side, and they put this like clamp on it, and it wasn't like it wasn't a hard clamp, but it definitely was enough to kind of keep my head in place. And then they cover you with all this paper that's waterproof, so it's really, really hot. And then I'm intubated, and I have all these tubes on my arms and around my neck, and I can't move, and they're pressing on my head, and they have like this thing. It was a lot, and I had a panic attack, and I felt really bad. And Kelly, who's the director, she's so kind. She was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah." So, but I'm not the only one that's happened to. I've seen other people in surgery scenes have to just suddenly get out of the bed. Like, they're like, "I have to get out of here. Get me out of here," because it's just all of a sudden you're just very claustrophobic.
I imagine that sounds scary.
Yeah, it's not the most fun. I'm not gonna lie, it's not the most fun. But otherwise, though, I mean, it was just really great. It was great to. I felt like I was very close with the actors during that time, and which makes sense, I guess, given the circumstances. But yeah,
Tasso did his best. Tasso was like awesome in that episode.
I know. He just broke my heart. He's just the sweetest thing. I'm so glad that he got to shine like that. So.
Yeah.
Just that whole thing where she's like, "She's the love of my life, and if she dies, I'm going to come after you." It was just,
I know.
Oh, it was so precious.
I'm like, so great.
Yeah, the acting from both of you and Tasso was just like, oh my god. You can tell him that next time you see him too.
Tell him what
tell him that we loved his acting from that episode.
I will tell him.
How are you and Jessica the same and different?
I think there's a lot of similarities.
Other than your name.
Yeah, right. Of course, my name, obviously. I think one way we're different is I really don't think she cares what other people think at all. I think that she does whatever she wants, and she's not ashamed of anything of how she feels or what she does. And I think she lives her life in a very open, free way.
She has less of a filter.
Yes, absolutely. I don't think there's really any filter in this. And that's why I love her, because there's just such a carefree way about her. And I think that there's some of that with me, but I'm definitely far more aware of what I have more of a filter. Although I'm very direct, and I don't know that Nurse Jessica's as direct as I am in real life, but yeah, I'm a little more like, I'm always taking in the people around me, always taking them in. I'm also very, 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 very sensitive, and I don't know if I would describe her that way. But otherwise, I think we're very similar in terms of how we just kind of present ourselves to the world. So,
what's your favorite behind-the-scenes moment on set?
Oh, so many. I love any time I'm with Bruce, to be honest.
It seems like everybody says the same thing.
Everybody loves working with Bruce.
Loves Bruce. Because Bruce just...
He's just so funny. And he can do any dialect you tell him to do.
Oh, wow.
It makes me laugh. Like, we'll be in surgery together, and like he'll like start saying his lines, but like in some strange dialect. And like, I don't know why, it just tickles me every time he does it, and like, he's just so funny. Like, it just, the things that he says and like the looks that he gives, and he's just so fun to be around. And Jane too, like the two of them together, him and Jane. There was one day, one of the last times I was on set, I can't remember what episode it was. But it was the three of us sitting together, and I remember I was laughing. I had tears running down my face. Like, I was they're just so fun. I just love I love everybody, to be honest. I think we're so lucky that way, that everybody's so great. But, Bruce, there's such a silliness to Bruce, and I love things with him, so.
Yeah, everyone says the same thing, that Bruce is, like, hilarious. Oh, what about Morris? Since he's a character bad guy. Tell us a funny story of him.
Yeah, wait,
so that people can look at him and go, he's actually a nice guy, because right now he's, like, played as, like, the most evil character.
He is great. And, like, the thing is, like, Morris, and, like, he's someone I don't know as well. I think because I haven't worked with him as much. But I would just say he's just a sweet, sweet man. Maybe a little introverted a little bit, but then again, I don't know him that well, so I don't want to like say that that he is if he's not. But I just remember when we were doing the Woman Down episode, when I was like getting surgery, him and Matt both were just very, very, very concerned about how I was feeling and how I was doing, always checking in and always taking my hand and always doing those things. So, I just think that he's very kind. I think he's a good man.
That is so sweet that they both were like worried about you, making sure you're comfortable and stuff like that.
Especially Matt during like compressions, when we were doing compressions, he was like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" Matt, I'm like, "It's fine. I'm good." But
don't you have like a chest plate or something for those kind of things, or they're actually doing it to you on your chest?
Yeah, they did. I think sometimes they'll do a chest plate, but I don't know. They didn't use one for mine. But there was one. They had like the close-ups. They were using a dummy, so But no, otherwise they were really doing it, and I was like, but, But if I'm gonna, but thankfully Matt was. I mean, really, honestly, any of the people on set I would have trusted, but I just know that Matt was just so. He thought so much of me before anything else, and so that we feel safe and taken care of. So, yeah.
If you weren't an actress, what would you be doing?
Cool. What would I be doing? Probably like saving animals. I don't know. That's really just what I want to do. I just want to like have a big sanctuary and just take in all the animals and need a home. But I guess there's no reason I can't do that later in life. But I probably would have gone into medicine, actually. It's which is kind of funny, but for a long time I wanted to be a veterinarian, which I don't think I could do because I have cry all the time. And then I wanted to be a dermatologist because I was like, skincare is fun. And then, but I actually think that if I would have been anything, I think I would have wanted to be like work at a center for like eating disorders and working with women that struggle with that. I think that would have been probably where I would have ended up, I would imagine. So another passion.
That would be kind of a good like resident storyline, like a eating disorder patient comes in or whatever.
Yeah, I agree. So I'll have to see and be like, hey Amy, listen, here's a suggestion. So they have a lot of material to work with these days, though.
No, to be honest with you, I loved your proposal more than I loved Connix.
Yeah,
me too.
Yeah.
Like it was, like the T-shirts were so great, and Tasso in the coat and tails. He looked so good in that.
So cute. Also, here's Piper. Piper, say hi.
Hi, Piper.
Don't be a jerk. Say hi. You're so cute.
She's so cute. But yeah, your proposals, I have to say, tops Connix.
Yeah.
Like, to me, I love that.
It was definitely much more like, it was so
lighthearted.
and so, it was so sweet and unique, and I just love it. And then I tackle him at the end, and I was like, oh god.
You kept interrupting him.
I know.
My favorite part was when you're like, are you reciting Shakespeare? How romantic. He was like, it would be more romantic if you let me finish it.
I'm like, oh, sorry. Yeah. No, it was sweet. I was really glad that they did that. So, well, I'm excited to see what season 4 has in store. So,
yeah, it does seem like a very Feldman proposal. It seems very Feldman.
yeah, it's very appropriate.
Yeah, because I mean, you guys are fun and you're comical, and it doesn't seem right to have you like in a gazebo.
I agree. So
Yeah.
I was excited when I saw it. Because I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't know, how. So when I read it, I was like, oh, that's so cute. So, cute. Yeah.
If you could go anywhere in the world, where would it be?
New Zealand.
For vacation. Why? You want to be Kiwi?
People there are nice, and it looks beautiful and clean, and beaches. Yeah.
So you're a beach person then?
Because something about the water is very calming.
What's your favorite food?
What is my favorite food? Probably spaghetti. I just love spaghetti. It's so good.
Is it okay to put pineapple on pizza?
No. I mean, you do your own thing.
No, I agree.
What's the last book you read?
I just finished. I have it right here. I just finished. It's called The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn. It's so great. If anyone
what's it about?
It is. It's a thriller, kind of suspense, about a woman who's an agoraphobic, and she witnesses a murder at a neighbor's window. And lots of crazy stuff goes down. So it's actually very good. They're about to come out with a movie, actually. So that's why I wanted to read it before the movie came out. So, yeah.
What's the last movie you watched?
What is the last movie I watched? God, I watched so many docuseries. Like I just watched. There's a new docuseries on Netflix called. It's about Jeffrey Epstein, which is not very uplifting, not very happy, but it's so funny you asked that. I can't remember the last movie I watched. I think I watched Contagion recently, because that's been popping up all over, like, with all the pandemic stuff. So I think that might have been the last movie I watched, which was like last week or the week before or something. But yeah.
Yes. What would you say to your fans of the show? If you could.
What would I say? I would just say that I love you, and I so appreciate the kind messages, especially from women that are my fellow full-figured plus-size ladies and men. Just that I appreciate all of you. All of them.
Yeah. Team Logan, Team Jess, or Team D?
I never watched Gilmore Girls. I know. My friend Joanna's always like, girl, you've got to watch it. But yeah, I've never watched it.
But seriously, you have to watch it and then tell us what team you're on.
Okay. I will. Well, ladies, I have to feed these little monsters because they're driving me nuts.
They say, feed me, mommy.
They're just like swarming my feet. I'm like, all right. But thank you for having me do this. This was lovely.
It was fun. Thank you for joining us.
Of course.
We had so much fun. Thank you, Jessica.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for opening up, especially about the weight and the health issues and stuff like that. Because it is something that I most wanted to talk to you about. Like,
I think a lot of people, for sure. It's important. Yeah, so I'm always happy to talk about that. I think it needs to be talked about. So
thank you.
Ladies.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful evening or afternoon for you, Camille. Okay.
Yes, it's evening for me, so.
Yes, me too. Bye,
Bye.
ladies.
Bye.
Bye.
We want to thank Jessica for agreeing to be on the podcast today. We were very excited that she agreed, and We just want to say that we recorded this podcast on May 30th, 2020. So we recorded it about a month ago. And so it's been a while since we've done all this. So thank you again. Before we go, we have some things we want to say. First and foremost, we want to say that the podcast is obviously growing. And because of it, we have a Patreon account. You can donate any dollar, any amount for, whatever the month, per month, whatever. And it'll allow you to see, bloopers and things we wouldn't normally leave in the podcast. It's early access to certain things, or stuff like that.
Yep.
Behind the scenes stuff, me editing. Stuff like that.
It's all that you can donate as much as little as $1, and hope maybe more if you like the content. But yes, we need the support so that our podcast can keep continuing to grow, and hopefully even get more interviews. I would love to get more interviews.
Yes. It's www.patreon.com/The Resident Podcast. So that's where you need to go if you want to donate. And then we also have our Facebook page, which is the Resident Rulebreakers podcast. And it's linked to the Facebook group that we co-admin with two other lovely ladies, Brittany and Amy. I have to mention them because it's not just the both of us. There are 4 admins. So,
yes.
And it's linked to that page, and in it you get so much amazing stuff. You get to talk to so many people, and
who works on the show. Yeah,
who works on the show.
A lot of the show people who work on the show actually is in the group, so you can interact with them and ask questions and stuff like that.
We get some really cool insight from them after episodes air, so it's pretty cool. We also have our Instagram, which is at the Resident Podcast.
It's a really good Instagram page. We want to keep it growing.
And then obviously our Twitter account, which is at Resident Podcast, and so there's that. We have our YouTube channel, where obviously if you're watching this, then you're already there.
We have but yeah, you can listen to us in any platform. We have Spotify,
Apple Podcasts,
Google Play,
SoundCloud. So we have so many different ways you can listen, watch. Obviously, we're going to be trying to do more video podcasts. Obviously, the audio will release as well. All I have to say is subscribe so you can get a little alert that says, the next podcast out. But usually I schedule these things to release 12 a.m. East Coast time on every Monday. So if you can't listen to it, obviously, then you're asleep, then obviously it'll be sitting there waiting for you. But that's when it releases.
Yeah. Since this is our last interview of June, we want to thank all of our interviewees for trusting us with to be on our podcast. Stephen Reddington, thank you. Amy Holden-Jones, thank you. Redneck Lord. And last but certainly not least, Jessica Miesel. Thank you so much for entrusting us with your stories and letting us interview you and stuff. Second, we still would love to interview more people to try to get them. But next week is the 4th of July weekend, so
we are going to be discussing. We're going to start our series of rewatches, and we're going to be discussing episode 102, which is ironically called Independence Day.
Yeah. So 4th of July, Independence Day.
Here we go.
But yeah, it's going to be a fun episode. It's going to be a fun podcast. And thank you all for listening.
Yep. So bye. Thank you.
Adios.